is the way. So TFcon 2017 USA has come to a close, and it was a pleasure meeting everybody. It was amazing. The turnout was easily the biggest TFcon ever. But the fun does not stop there. We had some amazing exclusives, a handful of great concoctions by the minds of Mastermind creations and above and beyond. One of them deserves a little bit of a history lesson. We have Mastermind creations, Reformatted, Shadow Ghost Calidus. And this gives me an excuse to talk about my favorite character and its evil incarnation, and my connection to the creation of the story of this third-party exclusive and from its past. So this is Protoman and ProtoRetro, and let's do this.
ProtoRetro.
So this more or less is going to be a review of the history of black Rodimus repaints a little bit, but more so evil black Rodimus repaints. I'm not going to feature every black Rodimus repaint, but more so just the stopping points of little changes here and there that influenced what a black Rodimus repaint is today. Not to mention we're going to be talking a little bit about shattered glass in general, and how this is a very important piece in the shattered glass mythos, even though it is a third-party product. Again, the reformatted Shadow Ghost SG Shattered Glass, if you didn't catch that already. I apologize for my voice. It was a crazy TFcon weekend, so that's usually the case. Let's get into it. So, just like the original TFcon Toronto repaint, which was done with the Lost Light Colors Calidus, or we called Asterix mode. This one here is the same mold, more or less, so if you want a more in-depth review about the mold design transformation, I suggest going back and watching my review of that one. It's pretty close by in the archive. I'll probably put a link in the description below too. This video is going to be more about talking about the history of this, its creation, the stuff that came before it, and the stuff that are different between the different releases. As my hands move back and forth like this, I'm sorry, I'm tired. So, what's different this time around? So let's bring in first some other guys. It's gonna be a bit of a mess here today. So, we had the Asterix mode Calidus from TFcon 2017 Toronto, Canada. We have the Shattered Glass / Calidus Shadow Ghost, TFcon 2017 USA. Both the same year, different regions, different releases. More or less the same in terms of molds. I'll bring in some of the little extra pieces here and there, and we'll compare. You know, we got heads on both of them. Both of them are one smirking face, one stoic face. Both of them had similar looking photon eliminators, one purple, one black. And both of them had some form of bow, if you will, ion bows. The differences being very limited between the two. Yeah. What was different in terms of pack-ins, the reformatted book and the actual Lost Light book or the Asterix mode book. Different transformations? Nope, same thing. So as a result, even though it looks different on the outside, you still had the same comic book that was packed in of Target Tormentron, A Fire Inside. Same comic on both of them, which more or less were the comic that was with the original Calidus to begin with. Trading card, the super amazing hard stock with plastic lamination, unique to this with bio everything of that matter, which was again slightly different from obviously the matching one of that one. What else? Well, what was unique this time around was if you got a reformatted Shadow Ghost, you got a bonus, which was something very cool and kind of historical. you got a free Calidus Shadow Ghost text story bio done in the More to Meets the Eye style. Only at their booth, thrown in free. It's a lot to read, but essentially the reasoning behind this was, and I want to really like go back here a little bit, is that when Fun Publication was coming to its end, there was plans to do a final Shattered Glass Rodimus Prime using, hopefully, the Cloud Rodimus mold that was from eHobby in Japan, and to include a text story to kind of have the final story of Shattered Glass, the Till All Are Gone, if you will, and the opening of the Matrix. None of that happened, as you noticed, and FunPub is no more or less, and BotCon is a thing of the past, unfortunately, as much as I miss BotCon. So that opportunity never came about to truly finish that story. I was lucky enough to work with BotCon and the club that last year, and because none of those stories ever came to fruition, I found this as an opportunity to somehow, in a small way, continue that story, and thus we made this with Damon Bat, who did the art. Credit to him, great job that he did. And this was out there. And at Damon Bat's booth, might as well plug him too. He also did extremely large versions of these, so I'll show probably for scale. He did huge versions of this if you really wanted to read the bio. He did big lithograph printouts on really nice high gloss poster paper. And he also did standalone, ones too. So if you go to any Transformer conventions in the near future, he'll probably be there selling those, so be sure to check him out. Credit to him. So also came with that story page, which kind of tries to tie in the last few moments of the Shattered Glass universe and what's going on. So let's go into a little bit of history before we go into this figure. When it comes to Black Rodimus repaints, the very first one back in the day was eHobby itself, did their Black Rodimus, which was early 2000, 2001. Now, this Black Rodimus was not really, this predates Shattered Glass even from a BotCon standpoint, and didn't sport the mustachio just yet. Was actually supposed to be just a Decepticon created by Megatron that would be purified by Crystal Rodimus, the accompanying eHobby repaint, which was a crystal version of this in traditional Rodimus colors or hot rod colors, and turn him into some Autobot. Now, what Autobot this guy turned into when he was purified, we never found out, but this was the first ever attempt at a evil hot rod figure. So the gray spoiler, which would become a staple, and the red eyes, which are, a Decepticon thing. But a lot of things obviously would be changed, such as the choices of detailed colors. Purple was not a thing just yet. Now, cue in another black repaint that came around, but not just yet of any kind, and this wasn't an evil version. This was Energon Rodimus from Super Link, the Japanese release, and this was also a special exclusive in Japan. Wasn't evil, didn't have a mustache. Just show the face there. Didn't have a mustachio just yet. And red accents instead of purples. I'll have them in robot mode later for the robot mode design. We go to 2008, and so it begins. This is the Shattered Glass Rodimus. This was a concept, Shattered Glass itself, that was conceptualized by Pete Sinclair and Benson Yee for 2008, of an evil universe that was very, akin to what the Star Trek stuff was doing with their broken mirrorverse, if you will. So, yeah, this was the first time we had a Black Rodimus that now really sported the purples, that gray spoiler from the eHobby concept, and of course, maybe I'll save it for the robot mode. I'll save it for the robot mode, but the mustache of the robot head in there. So this was really the beginning of what would be a trend in the future. And that trend would continue into even stuff that was a, quote, not Hot Rod or Rodimus. Like this was a evil black repaint of Titanium's Rodimus. This was called Menasor, but uses the the purples and the grays. No mustache though, but still, I mean, this might as well be a black evil Rodimus, just they called it Menasor because licensing issues, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to keep the name for a bit. You'll see him in robot mode too. And again, him having a bow and arrow, can't leave out the evil Rodimus or black Rodimus from Animated. Again, a Japanese release special exclusive, which unfortunately didn't have a mustache, but still using the purples and the grays that were pioneered by this guy right here. There's been others. There's been the Masterpiece one, but that deviated from the purples and the grays and used more of something similar to that, so that's why it's not here in this video. The very last two that I'm kind of going to touch on are just, you know, there was a Creo Shattered Glass Rodimus, which did have the purple mustache, and this was a BotCon exclusive, and it was pretty rad. And then this is a falling apart BotCon 2004, when it was unofficial, had a Action Master Breakdown, which was their final exclusive, and the creator went on to do a whole bunch of other customs that he was selling on eBay. Look at that, it just flew right off. He made a whole bunch of customs on eBay and was selling them of different ideas, and so one of them that he did was a Rodimus, and then he did a Shattered Glass Rodimus that it barely holds together, but yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. So this is one of those little rarities of Transformer history that just sit in my collection now, falling apart. Just shows you how prototypical this thing is. Yeah, just wanted to show that too. So let's go to talk about the toy now, and then we'll get everything else. So as I said, if you want a full in-depth review of this toy, my first review of this guy here will scratch your itch, but otherwise it's the black repaint. It rolls. It does have, like mentioned before, the removable and swappable fins if you really want to go wacky with your other Caliduses, if you will. It still has the storing gun at the top, which again, akin to the originals. You could put one here and just go bang, you know, of the similar guns, akin to the original G1 of the Ion Blaster, or the Photon Blaster leading to the Photon Eliminator. Not much else that could be noted, except for, of course, the weapon storage under here. That could be done like so, for, like I mentioned before, stabby stabby, but otherwise not much different from its original TFcon predecessor from just a few months prior. So let's transform it and get to the real meat of it and what's really sexy about this thing, and all the others too, right now. Transformation. How you doing? So, robot mode. Shadow Ghost. Calidus, Shattered Glass Rodimus. Looks amazing. Obviously there is no new tooling to this, but its big selling point is the amazing amount of paint that was used on this, and of course his mustache, which looks amazing. Sported on both heads. You have a, like I said before, a smirk and the stoic face, although you know this character, the smirk one, is a go-to. Now, in my last video about this mold, talking about him, I was only informed afterwards that if you just used a simple screwdriver and you screwdrive the back, just untapped a little bit, the screw on the back, the head could easily be removed and put back and swapped, where before I was going to pull him out. So that's a little tip for the future for people who want to swap the heads very easily. Now he looks amazing, as I said before, has the exact same articulation. Watch the video on this guy if you want me to go into the real in-depth of it. Goes into the same kind of aesthetic. I'm giving a more stoic stand here. He has the more dynamic pose. He could hold his weapons, and he holds them well. If you want to be more, I would say, Shattered Glass accurate, I would go using that ion eliminator, photon blaster. Let's bring in the original OG, you know. Go for that kind of style. He looks great, man oh man. But, to pull you back, maybe you're feeling a little animated. You know, animated is one of the best Transformers series. Not the best, but definitely up there as one of the best. Feel like going a little bit like that? We'll go like that. We'll go for an animated kind of evil Rodimus, shattered glass Rodimus, pimping together with their double bows. So yeah, it looks great. I'll bring in some other figures for comparisons here, since we got all the robot modes like I promised now all put together. Let me just put the gun in here so he looks great with them. The articulation, of course, is amazing on this guy. So we got the OG, the original Black Roddy with him, looking crazy, sporting the same gun, more or less just a modernized version of it through third party. Why do we bring in the first proprietor of the red clear in Super Link evil? Well, not evil in this case, it's just Black Rodimus. It's an Autobot version, good guy. No mustache though, unfortunately. And bam, we got the Menasor, which is actually, it's not supposed to be a Black Hot Rod or Rodimus, but it pretty much is. And look at all the paints and the purples, and the looking good too with his, oops, there it goes, with his photon eliminator also in a titanium style. This one was a SDCC exclusive. Yeah, this thing looks great. What more can I say? If you can pick him up, he was originally, if you bought him at TFcon, he was 103. If you used a credit card, he was 100 flat. Otherwise, everyone kind of used a credit card. Didn't really have cash for him. But there's the prototypical survivor and him. He was 103 on eBay. 150, 200. Maybe you'll get lucky, get him cheaper, but he is great otherwise. I can't suggest him enough. Easily the best looking repaint of the three. If you want something obviously that is more the original, more meets the eye color scheme, and I don't blame you, I have it too sitting back downstairs. You go for the original color scheme. If you want for more what's happening with Lost Light right now, you want that one. But of the three, the one that really has a lot of paint put on him in all the ways, it's the SG, the Shattered Glass, the Shadow Ghost. And he looks great. Looks absolutely great. And you could swap your little spoilers, and if you put a little more effort into it, you could even pull off this chest piece and swap those two if you want. But he looks amazing. Nothing more I could really say. So this is Protoman of ProtoRetro, and this has been a video review of Mastermind Creations Reformatted Shadow Ghost Calidus. So until then, guys, take care, and as always, roll out.
Hey guys, like what you saw? Want to see more? Then be sure to like, comment, and subscribe this video. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like the Facebook group for all the latest updates for Protoman of ProtoRetro.